Hey everybody, I'm Jack, and this is Raw Tropical Living, and I thank you very much for joining me today. I'm going to start the week off by talking about how I do a raw food diet, the rules. This one's going to get pretty heavy. Having a nice quiet weekend here, just easing into Sunday morning. I need to get some things done, kind of trying to organize my thoughts for the week. Where everybody else is zigging, I'm going to zag. Now that Thanksgiving's over in the States, most everybody here is just sliding into Christmas, and I kind of get, it's kind of that mentality or that feeling like, okay, the year's over, we're just going to tank the rest of this year, and we'll get started again in January. So I don't like to roll like that. I've got a lot I want to get done by the end of the year in preparation for next year, and keeping me on track to get back down to the tropics, get back down to Costa Rica in February, which that little plan is coming along quite well. Listen, before I get started, if you guys aren't already subscribed to my channel, I'd really appreciate it if you would hit the subscribe button now so you can come back for more content, and then click on the little bell and check send notifications so you'll stay subscribed to the channel. Even if you're already subscribed, do that because they will unsubscribe you here. Yeah, just been a real nice weekend. Just like I say, now that I've kind of decided, not 100%, but I'm about 99.8 that I'm going back to the tropics for fruit this winter. I'm really excited and getting things going and starting to put plans into motion and just seeing what's down there. Going to try to get a house and have some people. Might be like a little reality, raw vegan reality show. Anyhow, all right, you might want to get this down. This is going to be a real stringent list of the rules. You're probably already laughing if you know me, if you've watched my channel for very long. I don't do a whole lot of rules. I have not done a whole lot of rules since I started this lifestyle, and I'm probably never going to change that a whole lot. I'm going to keep... One thing I like to do on this channel, and the first thing I'm going to say here as one of my rules is, or not a rule, but just my way, how I do this raw food diet. I probably just talked about the other day, but I like repetition. I like repetition for certain things. There's certain things if you can just keep getting the message through to people. I've always focused on and trusted the process. That's how I've done this raw food diet since the very beginning. Like I mentioned, and I won't go too deep into this because I talked about this in a video the other day. The results, once this lifestyle made sense to me, and once I started doing it and started figuring it out, I just put the results way over to the side. I knew they would come when they came. I believed so much in the way that I had found to eat, the new way I had found to eat and do things, that yeah, I didn't even have to think about it. So like even when I was carrying that extra weight, even when I was about 210 pounds and thinking, man, I want to get rid of the gut and everything, I just somehow knew that time. One reason I don't have a lot of rules, here's the reason. Way back when I first came to this lifestyle, I had a little talk with my body. I separate, I compartmentalize, and plus I don't believe we're the body anyway, so maybe it was really the self having a conversation with the body. But the body has wants, the body has needs, the body has desires. So my body's always been pretty reasonable. So from the very beginning, and it's actually amazing my body's reasonable because of all the abuse I put on it. I'm surprised it can actually function, much less make good choices. But since the very beginning, my body and I have had an agreement, a covenant, if you will, that I will not deny my body what it asks for. And in return, I don't expect my body to ask me for ridiculous things. I don't expect my body to ask me for things that are not what I consider food anymore. And that just makes an awkward situation between us. So my body doesn't ask me for those kind of things. Now, from time to time, my body will ask me for things that aren't part of the normal plan. And, you know, it's kind of like dealing with a child. You know, if they don't over ask, if they're not constantly bothering you for bad things, or not bad things, but just less than stellar choices, yeah, sure. You know, you humor them, you give in, you let them do something, have a treat from time to time. But like I say, knowing that the body's not going to ask me, the body doesn't want things that it doesn't need. Okay, the way I do this is for most of you, you'll be like, well, of course we know how you eat. You've done a gazillion what I eat in a day videos. But for people that might be new, my plan, my philosophy, my way of doing it is simple. It's mostly fruit, lots of greens, a healthy amount of good plant fat, usually in the form of either avocados, tahini, chia seeds, hemp seeds. I don't do the nuts so much anymore. It's not one of those things that I'm like big anti-nut. Like I sat down and ate some really good walnuts last week, but it's just one of those things. They're just so heavy that, you know, I'll eat some and then I'm like, okay, nuts are done for a while. I'll probably have them again here at some point. And I try to keep those, I try to keep the fat like in a healthy level. I go through certain times of the year where I'm below 10%. I go higher than 10%. Probably I go sometimes as high as 15%, maybe 20. But I like to even it off throughout the year and like to think I average around 10% as a whole year round. I'm not fanatic. I don't weigh things. I don't use chronometer, although it's a very beneficial tool for a lot of people. I just kind of try to use that whole approach that if I'm eating like a variety of fruits and vegetables, that I'm going to get what I need. I'm not fanatic about like, okay, what are my ratios? Oh, did I eat enough of this today? But I have been working on trying to get more omega-3s into my diet. That was something for the longest time. I did focus on, you know, eating healthy fat, but I wasn't really focused on those good omega-3 sources where the ratio is better than say your avocados or some of your other forms of fat. What else? Oh, except for what are absolute rules? What is forbidden 100%? What is forbidden? I'm trying to think. There's not a whole lot that's like 100% absolute forbidden. I stay vegan. That plant-based, that is pretty much a given. I'm not, you know, at some point in 5 or 6 years, if you are vegan and you don't eat every single thing that's a fruit and vegetable, if you're eating out somewhere, there may have been an ingredient that slipped in somewhere, but that's a no-brainer right there. It's going to be vegan. It's going to be plant-based. Other rules. I don't eat oil, but it's not forbidden. Like every so often there will be something I'm eating and I'm like, you know what, I feel like a little bit of oil today. Not very often, not a lot, and it's not a lot of it when I do use it, but I use it. And it would be hard to say, okay, how often do you use it? Maybe every 6 weeks, 2 months, I'll be like, I'm going to use some oil. I don't know, but I use very, very little. And that's just one of those things I don't have to, as long as my body just doesn't continually. And that kind of, you know, I don't know, everybody's body is different. People talk about how if they do one thing again, it just brings up all this addiction and all this cravings and whatever. I haven't had to deal with that on some of the things like that I don't want to eat very, very, very often. I can eat a little bit of oil for whatever reason, and then it's like, almost kind of like the nuts. It's like, yeah, I just, that's it. And then you put the oil back on the shelf, and I have no inclination to want it, touch it, need it for probably another couple of months or whatever. Blah, 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 blah. Thoughts on cooked. Had to talk about cooked a little bit, especially since I've been back in the States. Raw is optimal. Raw is optimal for me. I know that. I started this lifestyle in the tropics, and I've been very high raw from the beginning. Eating a little bit more cooked and trying to observe it very carefully here. I eat cooked when I need it. When I eat the cooked when either I'm short on time, I'm not getting the fruit I like, I'm bored with just bananas all the time, and I'm not getting anything else. But I don't eat it very often, but I don't forbid it. And I think sometimes maybe that's why I don't have a problem with this raw lifestyle, and that's why I can step in and out. That's why if I can go, I go back to Costa Rica tomorrow. Let's just say I got on a plane to go back to Costa Rica tomorrow. I'm always within 3 to 5 days of being back to my optimum. I could go down there, okay, let's give it a week. I could go down there for a week and eat very high fruit, eat very high water content fruit, and in a week, I'd be right back to Jack 100% 2.0. So the cooked, it is what it is. it's not optimal for me. What I've been trying to do since I've been here is, if I am going to eat some cooked for whatever reason, I'm honing that even more. I'm finding now, like recently, the starches, the potatoes, I'll still eat those from time to time, but now I'm moving more towards the squashes. Like for Thanksgiving Day, I had both. It was a squash day. I had spaghetti squash and butternut squash. Now I find those a little bit lighter, easier on the body than the potatoes or whatever. I'm not much of a, when it comes to the pasta, I didn't do pasta that much probably for a couple of years before this lifestyle. The same with rice. Quinoa, I just have never made it all that much. I'm not really that against it, but the cooked is what it is, but I know what is the best for me. I try to do as little processed as possible. You know, there's some stuff, I do eat some packaged stuff from that now and again. If I do have to go to some sort of a processed food, I like it to be as few ingredients as possible. I don't like to get that thing that's got 28 ingredients that you're going, what is that? I don't even know how you pronounce that. What is this? The spices, the herbs, the garlic, the onions, not fanatic on that. But I do find as I go further and further on this lifestyle, I just don't tend to use them as much anymore. I used to use garlic all the time. I used to use garlic almost every night. Now I don't know, I use garlic maybe 2 or 3 times a week, if that, maybe twice a week. I do use some, I use spices a fair amount. I use smoked paprika, I use my chili powder in certain things, but once again, I'm not a huge recipe guy, so there's no reason for me to be doing a lot of this stuff. Sometimes my laziness can be a virtue because I just eat simple. I don't eat bad. If I get lazy or if I can't fix something, a lot of times I'll just default and have a green smoothie, or I'll have some banana and ice cream for dinner if I don't do savory at dinner. So it's not a bad thing for me to be so lazy to prepare food that I just have to keep it simple. But anyhow, like I say, I've enjoyed this lifestyle. I think so many people make it this heavy thing that it's hard to do, it's this and that. It's just fun, it's natural. It's the way I've been doing for 5.5 years now. And I can't even, like, looking back, even though I lived 48 years very differently than this, I can't even imagine not living like this anymore. I can't remember that time hardly of not, you know, making good choices about what I'm putting into my body. But in the end, I'll say this, as far as the rules go and having all this, you know, getting all serious about it, you got to enjoy this. Discipline's not going to get you through. There's not going to be some magic that happens one day that all of a sudden, you just really got to enjoy this lifestyle. You've got to enjoy what you're eating, and you have to understand why you're doing it. And I'll finish with that. Another thing that I've said 157,000 times. Once I saw things, I couldn't unsee them. Once I knew things, I couldn't unknow them. Maybe that's what, I don't know. Maybe you're not the same as me. Maybe you can know things and still do them. It's like I tell you, this glass here, oh no, don't drink that glass over there. It doesn't have a smoothie in it. There's arsenic in there. Well, you just simply, you know, once you know, you don't drink a glass with arsenic in it. It's as simple as that. And it's the same with our food. So anyhow, just my 2 cents worth. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. I hope you guys have an awesome week, and I will see you again tomorrow. Peace.